Hello everyone, I am Story DeJa Day. I am coming to you from Galactic New Earth, the fifth dimension and beyond. I've been guided to start doing videos for everyone to let my authentic soul, my higher self, through in a different way than just on Facebook and Messenger, which this is fairly new for me. And after some hesitation on my part, a lot of hesitation on my part, I finally decided to get over myself and do what I came here to do, which is share knowledge and information and activations and light and love with everyone, with humanity, with all who seek my guidance or teachings. So this is going to be about my experiences on New Galactic Earth, the fifth dimension and beyond, we'll call it, because there are many dimensions. Once you reach the fifth dimension, New Earth, you go through a purification stage, let's call it, and it could last any amount of time. Mine has been some years of different purification and releasing of all the old human aspects inside of me, layer after layer. But I did rebirth here on New Earth about a year and a half ago, and on Galactic New Earth we don't really keep up with time, so I don't like to go into talking about times and years and all that kind of thing, because we exist outside of time here and none of that matters. But I have been here and have just now gotten the guidance. And when I say guidance, it's coming from me, inside me. My higher self is fully merged with me. I don't seek guidance outside of myself any longer. It all comes from me inside, fully merged and fully embodied soul and fully embodied higher selves, because there's more than one higher self. There are many aspects that go through an integration stage as well, prior to getting to New Earth and after you get here. You are continuously, thus far, I'm continuously discovering, I won't say discovering, I'm continuously being presented with new aspects of myself to integrate. And they all used to be my guides I used to see them on the outside of me. Like for years before I ascended to New Earth, I had guides and guardians, elementals, angels, dragons, fairies, you name it. I had it as a guide, and they were all external. They were all I saw them as outside of myself, and called upon them, and they guided me in every moment of my life. Little did I know until much later on, until after the fact, that every one of those star beings and fairies and gnomes and galactic beings and ancient beings, what else? Oh, animals, spirit animals as well, were all me. Were all aspects of my soul that I was integrating as I raised in vibrational frequency. I was able to embody all of them, and it's called the embodiment stage or the integration period. And it seems to be ongoing, but the goal is total unification within oneself, with your higher self and all of your aspects and your full soul embodiment. So at a certain point, you have embodied so much of your soul aspects that you become unified in one, and you become your higher selves, and you become a we instead of a me. So even though we're all merged and integrated together in one body, I still have all of the energies, the knowledge, the gifts, abilities, talents, if you will, whatever you want to whatever terms you want to use, of all of my aspects that I have integrated, and it is a beautiful thing. Okay, next I'm going to talk about, let's see, what was I going to talk about? I'm going to talk about, let me talk about an experience I had the other night. I've been going through since about 12/12. Let's see, today's like, I don't know what today is. I have no idea. Anyway, it's well after Christmas, after the New Year, but before Christmas, around the 12/12 gateway, 12/12/2017. Yes, I started to be getting an internal knowing that I needed to disconnect from the collective that I had been guiding for about a year and a half since I graduated or ascended in physical form, in my physical body. I didn't just ascend my consciousness. That came many years ago when my consciousness ascended out of the third dimension. I ascended my physical vessel. I raised the vibration of my physical vessel so high that I walk on New Earth now. I am here, and I'm not speaking in metaphors or anything like that. I'm speaking literally in everything that I say. In fifth dimension, everything is literal, not metaphoric. It may seem metaphoric to someone who is not at a fifth dimensional consciousness or is not here yet, but you will understand when you get here that everything I say is literally happening. Okay, just before, around the 12/12 gateway, 12/12/2017, I was guided to disconnect my Facebook account, which was kind of difficult for me because I had used that as my means to assist others, to put out my knowledge and wisdom and guidance, and connect with others in my collective who may need my information, or I may have needed theirs, and I needed the collective, and obviously they needed me because we were working together. But around the 12/12 gateway, I was guided that I was leaving that collective, and I was becoming unified, whole within myself, and would no longer be working with just one collective any longer. I would be working with all of them, the entire humanity collective, if you will. Energetically, not directly. Obviously, I can't get to every human on the planet directly communicating, but doing the YouTube videos and getting a website will help broaden my reach on helping people, because I was very limited on Facebook. I didn't realize how much, because only people that I was able to reach were the ones who were directly connected to my account, and of course I posted in groups and things, but they my information got to who it needed to get to. But this is a way, doing the videos, YouTube videos, is a way of expanding, because a lot more people have access to YouTube and can look up keywords and use the videos, hopefully, to connect with me and to connect with my light. Someone who's walking on New Earth. There are many of us who are on New Earth, who have ascended in their physical body, and everyone that I've came in contact with that is here is kind of doing the same thing. We're all in full service to Gaia, to humanity, and to the souls ready to transcend their humanness, their human aspects, and become a new Earth Gaia, human star being again. So, okay, so at around 12/12, I was guided to disconnect from my collective, and I never know. I just listened to my guidance. I didn't know if it was for good or for eternity, or if I would be guided to reactivate my account, and I still don't know, but it's still not active. And during that time, I was guided to turn off my phone and go within. And when I say go within, I mean really go within. No phone, no computer. I did watch some YouTube videos, mostly watching videos that were very high light, high vibrational, others who are on Galactic New Earth, who are also doing videos. I was guided to connect with and watch those during the time for activations and for confirmations. But other than that, I was to really see no one except for the souls who live in my home. They get to see me, but I not really been interacting with anyone. Completely me, my higher self aspects, and my soul, all just getting, let's see what the word I could use for it, getting better acquainted with each other. That doesn't sound right, but you get the idea. Getting better connected in our ways of communicating with each other, and without the distraction of assisting others, because on Facebook I was always assisting others, answering questions, doing all that, and I love doing that. I certainly do not mind doing that, and it was something I've been doing for years. But it became a distraction at a certain point right now, during this period of time. Not that anyone's ever a distraction in a bad way, but it became a distraction from me shifting dimensionally again and becoming in service in a different way. So that's what I mean by that. So I have been with just myself reading. Let's see, I'll show you what book I'm reading. You may be interested in this. I'm reading, this book is called Navigating Dimensions, and it's backwards, but it's by Lisa Transcendence Brown. Wonderful book. It was kind of like it's kind of like a review of everything that I've been experiencing for the past few years since I woke up, had my spiritual awakening, if you call it an awakening. Awakening to remember is what she calls it. But I do recommend the book. It's awesome. And I was guided also to talk about integration of aspects and how that works. Now, everybody may be different, but how we experience it. So if you resonate with this, and this might give you a confirmation as to what's going on in your world. Since I awakened, way before 2010, I think. 2010, I believe, is when I had my actual awakening, where everything was stripped away from me. My whole life was turned upside down. Everything that could get in the way of me ascending has been plucked away one by one, so that I could realign and focus on what I came here to do, which is ascend in my physical vessel, become my higher self, and be in service. And by being in service, I have been an artist in the past year and a half. Since I got to Galactic New Earth, I became an artist, which I was not before. But I got all these new gifts and talents, and I could tap into from one of my aspects, who did, I do energetic readings through light language, light codes, creation codes, I call them. But here's an example of one. I do stargates, like I paint stargates. This is a stargate, and this is the light codes and universal language. I don't know if you can see that well. Here's a diamond light activation. These are all activations, and you can look at them either way. These are all activations and stargates that work with your DNA and your light body activation. I started doing these right after I got to New Earth. It was my light magics, I call it. My gift of light magic. Whatever I received from the universe, that is me and the universe, the energies coming in to activate me. I read them. I read the energies and translated into a visual form, and that's what those are. I have lots of them around the house, and they're all activations, DNA activations, light body activations. They trigger the activation within the individual who views them. who is ready to receive. And they're all very healing, empowering, activating, and aligning, and many different things. They're very magical. Okay, so I got that gift. That was an aspect of me that was an artist that was able to put those. First I would draw them, and then I started being guided to paint them. Okay, so that was one aspect, but there's I don't even know how many aspects. I couldn't count, but that's just an example of one. But as far as aspects go, like I have a fairy aspect that I viewed that was outside of me. Like a fairy queen, fairy king that I knew were part of me, but I used to see them externally. They were my guides, and they gave me information and connected with me and kept me company and all these beautiful things. But I would literally see them not in my third eye. I would literally see them as beings in my home, in my yard. I could see them when I closed my eyes as well, but they're literally here, energetic beings that are literally here. They're not, it wasn't metaphorical. It's not metaphorical, and it's not in my third eye. Yes, opening up your third eye does assist you to be able to see these things, these aspects or energies or things, but it was much more than just a third eye experience or a vision. It's not a vision. They're actually there. You're really seeing them and interacting with them. Okay, there are many more than just the fairy ones, but the fairy king and queen are some of the ones that people may resonate with at this time, because you may have had your experiences with the fae. I like to call them the FaeRei, realms. Okay. Also, the other night, okay, in 5D, in the Galactic New Earth timelines, gives you access to galactic beings on a whole nother level than what you have been experienced before. Everything on Galactic New Earth timelines is like existing in a lucid dream, where everything, it's like you're walking and living in a lucid dream. Everything is magical. What you desire can just materialize, literally, can just show up in your reality. I mean, anything. And the more unified you become inside, the more you integrate and become a holder of more light and activate your light bodies. There are more than one. They come in layers, is the best way to describe that. You are able to materialize and experiencing things in much higher realms than just the fifth dimension. Once you get to the fifth dimension, New Earth, and then Galactic New Earth, it just goes on and on from there, many different dimensions after that. And once you get to the 5D and start integrating, you gradually have access to dimension after dimension. We don't really even call them by numbers anymore after that. They're just different frequencies, different realms. You have access to all of them, and you begin learning how to attune, retune, tune in to the different realms so that you can go there or experience it. I won't say go there. You're kind of going there and kind of not really going anywhere, but you tune it into your frequency and you're there, but you're not really going anywhere. You're kind of just activating within yourself. Maybe a better way to explain that, if that makes any sense. Okay, the other night, here's an example. The other night, I had been guided to lay down. Like my higher self said, lay down, it's time to go to sleep. So I listened, and I wasn't necessarily that tired, but I turned out the lights a few moments after that, put the book down, turned the computer off, and as I turned out the lights, my head barely hit the pillow. I was not asleep, was not even sleepy yet. I was just like a moment, and all of a sudden, I see in my room a set of doors that look like they go to a spaceship, or I'm trying to figure out a way to explain it. They were sliding doors that slide like this. Okay, so, but they kind of like elevator doors where they slide apart like that, but they had lights running on them. It kind of reminded me of the inside of a ship, or an entranceway to a corridor, an intergalactic corridor maybe. Necessarily irrelevant to what to where the doors went, but I see the doors, and as soon as I see the doors in my room, it's like I'm not in my room anymore. I'm there, wherever there is, and there doesn't matter. It's just the experience that came after. The doors open, and a male being comes out of the doors, and I'm standing there. At the same time I see the doors open, I get a message, I get intuition or guidance. All those are true. I get energetic communication that says you are a galactic ambassador and are chosen. I volunteered, I'm chosen. This is part of my mission. All of those are true as well. To be a galactic ambassador for star beings and galactic beings that come to visit us now that we're in the 5th dimension, and we can have direct contact with these beings, and it is beautiful. Oh, it's so beautiful. Okay, so at the same time I get the message about being which all that makes sense. I mean, I knew that before. It was just the energetic transmission came through to remind me, I guess, that's what was going on. A male star being made of, let me try to describe what he's made out of. He's made of light, yes, like a bluish silverish light, but there's also physical at the same time. Not our kind of physical, like fully human, but way more a different state of matter that he's made out of, that you can touch and feel. But it's also made of light, if that gives you any idea. It's like etheric, plasma, crystalline, light body, and beyond, whatever's beyond that. I'm not even sure what it would be called, but he looked crystally and looked like light, but there was a physicalness to him. He had a suit on that looked like a galactic traveler may have on. You can use your imagination to what that might look like, but his clothing was not separate from him. It was light as well. It was just part of him, part of the part of his body, and I'm sure he could shift that anytime he wants to. We also had a helmet on. His head was bigger than a human's head at the top, kind of like went back this way bigger, or the helmet was, at least anyway. The head was too, but the helmet was bigger, and I couldn't see his face as he's coming through the doors, but I knew it was male by the shape of his body, or that's what my intuition was telling me, that it was a male being. And when I saw him stepping through, got the message about being a galactic ambassador for greeting these, I thought to myself, I had a moment to think, now how would be the appropriate way to have a first contact, which this is not my first contact, but to have a first contact with galactic star beings, with our star family, with our ancient ancestors from other planets and galaxies. What is the correct protocol for greeting them? I had no idea. My soul was just so excited that I just grabbed him and hugged him. And that was, I guess, the appropriate thing to do, because that's what my authentic, pure self decided to do, whether he was expecting it or not. I just, and also, let me add this too, as all this is transpiring, I sense a very familiar soul. Even though I couldn't see his face yet, I just knew it was a male. I sensed a very familiar energy to him, and that's what made me want to hug him. I was so excited that this being was here. I was like, you're here. I was so excited. I'm like, finally, you're here. You're back. Or you showed up, or however you want to look at it. So as I'm hugging him, he feels very familiar. Very familiar. So much so it was very exciting to me. It was like overwhelming almost. Not in a bad way, but in a good way. And it was all happening so fast. He takes me by the hand and sits me down. We sit down. This is all happening very rapidly, but to tell you the story, I have to break it down a little bit in human terms to kind of let you know what was going on. Okay, so he takes my hand and sits me down, and he pulls his helmet off so I can see his face. And it's interesting that he moved it with his hands, like moved it off of his face. It's kind of like he just pushed it back, and it wasn't really a helmet. It was just more like some sort of light face cover, like a galactic being on a ship would be wearing. Anyway, he moved the helmet, the face cover back, and he looked very much like a being, a person that I knew from my experiences on Earth, who was the person I experienced as my twin flame. And he has passed and left physicality in June of this year. So he's no longer physical. But I knew when that being stepped off through those doors that the energy was so familiar. I was so excited. That's why I was so excited to hug him. I didn't know how else. I just knew that it was someone I needed to hug, and that was the appropriate response. Anyway, when he pulled off, it looked like a very advanced galactic version of my twin, who is no longer in physicality, who is an ascended master who has left physicality through means of passing over, dropping his physical body, dying a human death, if you will. Okay, so anyway, so when he pulls his helmet off, I knew that I recognized him. It was him, but it wasn't the human version that was here. It was a very futuristic, maybe is a good word, very evolved, very galactic star being aspect of this individual. Anyway, okay, so that all transpiring as he's sitting me down. There's no words being exchanged. This is all energetic communication. And then I see the doors are still open, and a female being is coming through the doorway, or standing in the doorway. And she had a helmet on too. I could tell it was female by her body shape, very feminine looking, and I could see hair through the helmet. And anyway, I couldn't see her face because she had a helmet on as well. Anyway, before I could even think who she was to me, or who she was to him, or whatever, I'm just like, part of me is thinking, who is this? Before I could even think that, he says, the male being that's with me says, that's you. And I said, it's me. He said, yes, I'm you and she's you, but that's you. And I was like, I got excited then, because at first I was a little reluctant, like who is, didn't know who I was fixing to meet, since he was someone that I was very familiar with. I wondered who would be traveling with him, that who else would it be that I knew, and I couldn't figure it out until he said, it's you. This is the galactic version, a galactic star being future timeline version of you. So I got excited then, and he's smiling, like almost like laughing, like he almost like set it up like that so he could see what my reaction would be of him bringing me my future self to so I could see and meet and whatever transpires. He's smiling about it and thinking that it's quite adorable, probably, and humorous was the look on his face. Like he was giving me a gift, and it was definitely that. But Um, I wanted to see. I got up. I wanted to see her face. Her face. It was me, but it was someone else. It was outside of me at that time. Anyway, I wanted to see his face. I said, "Can you take your helmet off too?" Because I'm standing up at this point, like face to face with this beautiful light being, and communicating telepathically. Not even that energetic communication. Not even telepathic, really. For her to show me what she looked like, what her face looked like. And she pulled her helmet back, and I was so excited because she didn't look like necessarily like I look exactly like I do now, but it was enough that it was recognizable that it was me. But I would be a very galactic and advanced version of myself, yes. And also, I noticed that as I'm standing there looking at her, like her, me, us, we, as I'm standing there experiencing myself, a future version of myself, not so distant future, I don't think, but as I'm standing there looking at her, I get a sense that she was feeling the exact same thing I was about interacting with me. Like, I was worried, like, is she going to accept me? How could she not? It's me. But that was kind of the energy of it. Was like it was not fear at all. It was just like, oh, what if she doesn't like the way I look, or what if she doesn't approve of what I look like? I don't know why that would even cross my mind, but it gave me some insight about myself. But okay, so as I'm looking at her, I also recognized immediately that not only did she look like a future version of me, a very galactic star being, light being version of me, slightly different, more celestial being features, eyes and things, but I recognized her face from a dream I had the night before. The night before I had an actual dream. This was not a dream. This was an experience. The night before I had a dream while I was actually asleep of me walking up to a mirror, looking in it, and I had turned into someone else. I was still me, but my face looked just like hers did. And I recognized, and I was so excited. I was like, I changed, I shapeshifted. I was so excited. I was running. I took off from the mirror to run and show the first person that I saw that knew me that I had changed, shapeshifted, evolved that quickly overnight into looking like more like my authentic soul self, most likely, is what I feel. That's where I'm going back to with this. But anyway, I recognized, when she took her helmet off, I recognized that it was the same version of me that I saw in the mirror in the dream the night before and had shapeshifted to. So then I got really even excited about that too as well, because it all clicked together. I was just like, oh, that's it. That's the one. That's the version of me that that I saw in the mirror, that I am becoming again, my galactic self. Yay! But at that moment, all of that transpired, and I'm sure she knew, and she probably had the same dream about me and who I am and what she looked like in human form. Interesting how that all played out. But in that moment, all that transpired was a very short period of time, and I just grabbed her and hugged me, hugged myself, hugged the future version of myself, just like I had my other visitor, my twin, my galactic future version of my twin flame, who is no longer on Earth, who has passed away. And I grabbed her and hugged her, because I was so excited. I had to check her out for a little while longer, like really not study, but visualize me outside of myself for a little bit, and had it all sink and click in, click as to what's going on here. And as I hug her, she just integrates into me, because I accepted her which was me, of course. We must accept yourself. But that is part of how integration works. Beautiful experiences like that. So I integrated her in that moment because I accepted her in every way of who she was. I didn't have time to get to know her. It didn't matter. I just knew that it was an aspect of myself that I was to become. And so Alan the Hug just merged us together. And he, the male, galactic being, leaves me with these words, galactic twins. He says, he communicates energetically and says, galactic twins, I am you, you are me, she is you, you are her, we are we. And this is a future experience that you're going to experience. So what that means, we'll get to know exactly how that's going to play out in the future. But since it wasn't a dream, it was an experience that I was having. I was going to experience it more of the galacticness of it, I believe, is how it's going to play out. But I'm not going to put limits on it because I always want it to play out however. But that is one way that aspects integrate in galactic New Earth timelines, is that you are visited from aspects of yourself literally during a waking state. You go to where these experiences occur, whatever dimension that was. I don't even know. It doesn't even matter. Or whether it was on a ship, it doesn't. All these things, it doesn't matter, because just the whole energy and the experience of it was beautiful. So only the human aspect would need to know where and how and all that. It just happened, and that is the way it happened, and it is beautiful and very exciting. Things like that happen here all of the time. That's just one experience. I think I'm gonna try to do more videos about my experiences here so others can understand that these experiences are not metaphorical. They're not happening during meditation. They're not happening during sleep stages. They're not happening from using psychedelics or anything. I'm totally wide awake, sober, straight, and not on anything except for the beautiful lucid dream reality of galactic New Earth timelines. So I hope that this video has somehow explained some things to some people, and if not, I hope you enjoyed my story. And again, my name is Story DeJa Day. Love bombs to you and light rays to you. AKA-SHEI, FaeRei, Akadawa, Shro, and Laru. Ya'i Maru AKA-SHEI. That is my greeting and salutation. Thank you. Goodbye. Till next time.